All right, y'all. I do believe I am live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. I'm here for this week's breaking news. Now, there's so many things that happen in geek world, so many things that happen in comic world that is actually breaking news. But, I'd have to be on 24/7 to try to cover all of it. So I try to cover the stuff that's relevant to me and my audience. And the most relevant thing that happened this week is the fact that Kamala Khan is back. And my response to that is duh. Everybody knew. Remember, she only died like 2 months ago in a Spider-Man comic, and that was just to get eyes on the death because her and Peter Parker were not actually that close. And so, she's only been gone a couple of months, but now she's back and she's reborn as a mutant. Duh. Everybody knew that was going to happen too. Why? Because Kamala Khan is in the MCU, according to her Disney Plus show. She's the first mutant. She's the first official and recognized mutant. And so they're going to rewrite everything to build the X-Men around her. You can count on it. So that's why they made this change to make this stuff line up, because they think that's going to get more eyes on the Marvels, the movie that they forgot to advertise. And they think that's going to help lagging comic book sales. And if you know anything about the X-Men lately, long story short, the X-Men have been living on Krakoa, which was the living island, and all the mutants are there now in their own community. But the X-Men have actually become the X-Men have actually become the very thing they spent all those years fighting against. They've actually become bigoted and full of hate and isolationist, and everything that they used to fight against, everything they used to stand against, they are that now. They've also become, in a very kind of perverse way, incestuous in a way that I've never seen before. And the peak and the pinnacle of, if you want to understand what's wrong with the X-Men today, you have to look you have to look no further than the Hellfire Gala. Because the Hellfire Gala, or Gala, however you say that word, is kind of the pinnacle. It's kind of the peak, because we wanted our mutant superheroes to have an annual fashion show where they all dress up with these over-the-top, ridiculously flamboyant flares, because that's what we wanted. That's what we think of when we think of X-Men, is the Hellfire Gala, where everybody comes and shows off their new outfit. Okay. So what's going to happen is they are now going to bend the X-Men around Kamala Khan. So she's going to be the first mutant, and she's either going to found the X-Men, so they're going to be like, forget Xavier and his dream, and forget Scott and Jean. Kamala's going to be the one that actually founds the X-Men, or she's going to discover the existing X-Men in the MCU, and she's going to challenge him to do better, to fight, or whatever. But it's all going to be built around her. She's going to become the new center. And I didn't put a picture of it behind me, but one of the covers of her return has to do with her rising out of the water. It's a ripoff of the original birth of Phoenix back in the Cockrum era, where they originally created Jean as Phoenix, not Dark Phoenix. That's Claremont and Byrne, and that took a while to get to that. But when her costume was morphed from Marvel Girl, her green and yellow Marvel Girl costume got morphed into her Dark Phoenix costume, which is one of the better upgrades we've ever seen, just in terms of sheer costume. And then a lot of retcons happened after that. But I guarantee you that that cover is a precursor of things to come. That meaning that they're going to give Kamala Khan a Phoenix arc, and they're going to give Kamala Khan a Dark Phoenix arc. You can count on it. That's what they're trying to let you know they're going to do. That's why they're using those covers. It's going to happen. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And she's going to turn out to be stronger than any Category 5 mutant, which is going to include Jean, Professor X, Magneto, and I can't wait until they pit her up against Wanda Maximoff, because then they'll have two characters that are the bestest and the strongest ever, and nobody can beat them, and they can traverse across all worlds, all realities, every place in the cosmos. So it'll be interesting to see what happens once they get her up to that point. because Ms. Marvel, they have been trying to make her work. This is like Gretchen trying to make fetch happen. They have been trying to make Ms. Marvel happen for so long, for years now, and she hasn't really taken off. Just like Carol Danvers as Captain Marvel. We loved Carol Danvers when she was Ms. Marvel, when she had on her navy blue outfit and her little yellow Z. And when she was there, she was great. Okay, we loved her then, but when they graduated her to that level and tried to make her better than Marvel and tried to make her, the bestest human Kree hybrid, whatever she is ever, and she's got more power than anybody, and she's the most powerful character in the Marvel universe. When they started trying to do all that, that's why her book has been canceled over and over and over again and rebooted over and over again, and for all the people that say that happens to everybody, not with the frequency that it has with Captain Marvel, and the sales don't reflect. Because if you want to try to compare her to another character who's been canceled and rebooted, do the sales reflect that? See, that's one of the things about Twitter. Twitter is a bit of its own insular world. So a lot of the people that say things on Twitter, it doesn't translate. It doesn't translate. What I mean by that is, if you criticize someone, the Twitter mob will come for you and how dare you, and they'll call you a name and you're just this and you're just that, and she's just the bestest ever. But the movie sales do not reflect that reality, and the comic book sales do not reflect that reality. So it's just contained on Twitter. That's just people talking. That's just people behind their keyboards saying, something is what it isn't. Because if it was really true, they would be supporting these characters in movie sales and in comic book sales. And before you throw the Captain Marvel made $1 billion figure, before you throw that out, remember that a lot of those tickets were bought, were pre-bought by the company. There was a lot of Captain Marvel showings where the theater was empty. We saw pictures, evidence of where it was empty, and they sandwiched the Captain Marvel movie right before Infinity War and Endgame and made you feel like you had to see it. So how could it fail with that kind of positioning? That slot right before Endgame should have been Natasha Romanoff's movie. That should have been the Black Widow slot, because Natasha more than deserved and earned that movie, and that would have been the place to put her movie. But they gave it to Captain Marvel, and that's also when Rotten Tomatoes went off the rails and changed their system so that real reviews couldn't come through, and that whatever reviews that were only praising the movie and giving it a high score, that's when all that happened. So they propped the Captain Marvel movie up, okay, with as many sticks as they could. So that's not the same as organic ticket sales. That's not the same as people going out to see the movie like they did with Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Because from what I read, that made back $230 million over the weekend off a budget of $300 million. So it's almost made its production budget back in its opening weekend. Now we know it has to double that to make money, but it will. But the point I'm trying to make is that it didn't need that kind of propping that Captain Marvel got. So all this stuff that's going on with Kamala Khan, we know where it's going. We know where it's going. And it's all going to be about, she's the first X-Men. She's the best mutant. The world accepts mutants because of her. The X-Men are formed because of her. The X-Men become, everything's supposed to be because of her. That's where this is going. And we all knew that as soon as the announcement of her death was put out there. We knew that. And I also did another video. You can find it on my channel. It's called Destroying Peter Parker Again, where the most heinous thing on that cover was not Kamala Khan dying in Peter's arms. It was Mary Jane in the arms of Paul, her boyfriend. That's how far we've fallen. That's how out of touch they are with what fans really want to see. And another thing I will say about Kamala Khan is this right here. Her whole energy, her whole creation, her whole reason for existing is because she was created before Disney Marvel got the rights to the X-Men back, and she was created as an Inhuman because they tried to make the Inhumans the new X-Men or the new mutants, and they tried to use the same taglines, the same story world. Didn't work at all. I'm one that believes the Inhumans deserve another chance with the right production team because it could have really been something. But the production team was wrong and the approach was wrong because the Inhumans do not work as X-Men. They just don't. And they don't work in that slot. But so that's why Kamala Khan exists. But the biggest egregious thing going on here is the fact that Kamala Khan's whole vibe and energy was she was living the dream as an Avenger. And then when that went bad, she helped to found the Champions because she was standing for what she believed. But she was associated with the Avengers in her old life. So in this rebirth thing, she's going to be a mutant. She's probably going to have new powers. If she's a telepath, she's going to be stronger than Xavier and Jean and Emma combined. And so we know where this is going. And we also know that Iman Vellani is also helping to write the comic. And she herself has said she's never written anything before. So at least she got a chance to write her own fan fiction. So she's saying what it is up front. So we all knew this is coming. This is not a surprise to anyone. And it's going to be very interesting to see all the people that attack this video, all the people that attack on Twitter, all the people that say, that she's not a C-lister, that she's an A-lister. Right. She's right up there with Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, and X-Men. Now, I know that tide has turned on a certain level over the years because they took the Avengers B and C-listers and made them A-listers. And I know that tide has turned because of the success of the MCU, at least up to Endgame. But that is only in the movies, and that type of sentiment exists more on Twitter than anything else. Because again, nobody watched the Disney Plus show of Miss Marvel. Nobody, or very few people watched that show. It wasn't a ratings giant. It wasn't a ratings juggernaut. So how can you make the case that Kamala Khan is some type of A-lister? Okay, it's because she's not. But anyway, so there are going to be those that attack, me for saying that, or attack tweets a video and whatever. I don't care. I'm tired of all that. I don't care. Say what you want to say, because you're bloviating and you're ranting and you're raving does not make it actually true. Because if she was on the same level as Spider-Man, Wolverine, Fantastic Four, those are the A-listers. And now, Iron Man is up there. If she is on that level, then her book sales and her TV show views, ratings will reflect that. Okay? And so anyway, we know where this is going. And so kind of a shame, because you heard me say it before, but I'll say it again here. I can't think of an industry that makes a point of angering its fan base and creating content that is purposefully against what they want. Most businesses create the content, the goods, the products, and the services that their fan base wants to buy. But now in comic books, they're doing the opposite. But that's okay, because y'all know I got my announcement coming up. And so that's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to get there. All right, that's it for this breaking news. Tell me what you think. If you're watching this on Twitter, leave me some tweets and let me know what you think. If you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, leave me some comments and I'll respond. I really appreciate that. And I will see you on the next episode of The Next Breaking News. I'm out.